Is the Hot Seat Radio Show. Mr. Moreno Valley, Daryl Terrell is in the house. We have Sean to the right, 4-time, and we are here. This is the Hot Seat Radio Show. We are here to tell you what has been going on, what is happening in the city of Moreno Valley. Sean, your mayor, the one you voted for twice, he says he didn't ask for his raise. That was something that the staff came to him with. The city manager, Michelle Dawson, just said, you know what? You deserve to get a $700% increase in your pay.
What? Did he ask his staff to suggest that?
That's what I would say, because why would she do that?
I don't know, unless there's a deal for everyone else to get a raise.
I don't understand it. And and this guy thinks that we are so stupid. Why do they continue to do all this stuff when they know they are being watched on a constant basis? And to ask for 700% increase with no additional responsibility. So he's going to be taking pictures and running a community meeting for $135,000.
I don't know. It'd be nice if we had someone on here that could discuss the possibility of personality problems. Like a narcissistic personality disorder, it would be nice if we had someone that could speak authoritatively on that.
Right, and
because he slacked off on his job that did pay close to six figures.
Yes, as a teacher.
And then, now all he wants to do is show up at an occasional meeting, which he hates listening to anyone's comments in that meeting.
2 minutes.
And then he's just basically going to run around, take pictures, and not bother to meet with anyone. How long has it been that you've been waiting for that meeting with the Gutierrez to discuss that slumlord?
A year and 3 months.
Okay, so what would
and he's supposed to be the mayor at large.
What are we going to pay him like $95,000 for, just to play supermodel and take all these pictures? And
that's all he's going to do.
Well, yeah, I was looking at the staff report.
The staff report.
It says, well, full-time expectations and responsibilities. It says increase access for the public. It says acting as the face of the city at speaking engagements. Mm-hmm. Meeting with potential new business. Time allowed to review applications. Increase access for staff, in particular for the city manager. Increase access for council colleagues to foster communications. It says represent and advocate for the city at regional. It sounds like to me it's the same stuff he's doing right now. Why does he get paid?
Why is he doing the same stuff as the other ones? If he's facilitating, one thing that caught me there is that if he's facilitating access to the city council members, is that only going to be the ones that are sympathetic to him or are within his good favor?
Now, that's a good question. And another good question is, why is it that these 3 council members continually think on the same level? Wouldn't that be a Brown Act violation?
Yeah.
Because how does Child Cabarrus know? I mean, he's almost in lockstep with the other 2. And how do they know what, I mean, the statistically odds of them knowing what each are going to do is impossible.
Well, that's what I say. It's kind of weird to have that 3. You're required to have 3 to put something on the agenda. Is kind of interesting because what you just said a few minutes ago. 3 seems like to me a Brown Act, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's
how would you know what the other person wants to put on there?
It.
Unless how's that? You have an in between or something?
Well, what's wrong with the traditional Robert's Rules of Order, where you suggest that you propose a motion, you second it, and vote on it? That's been that way. It's worked for what, 400 or 500 years.
Oh, well, the first thing they're going to say to you is, oh, you're a racist. That's the first thing they're going to say. You're a racist. How dare you?
That's what they say. That's what people say when they can't come up with a decent argument. They attack the person, slander the person.
Right, exactly. So you're a racist because you're putting on 400, 500 years of white parliamentary rules on us, and we're a Hispanic background.
Look, the proof is in the pudding. Look at the results of how England is run versus how Mexico, or especially Venezuela, is run.
That's true.
So we don't need their way of doing things. We don't need their banana dictator mindset. And quite frankly, I don't. Now I'm reading that Gutierrez wants to put this pay raise on the ballot. But no, the thing is that okay, if he has Ito or anyone else dump 6 figures into the election or does anything to rig it, and then he gets that money, and then he votes for the $800 million bond, and if he gives any other council members or staff members raises, he is in a real dangerously gray area of being in an embezzling ring and possibly public malfeasance in office, which does not have any statute of limitations. They can prosecute him for the rest of his life if something comes up.
Oh, that'll be awesome. So keep that in mind. So do you agree with him getting a 700% pay raise?
For what?
For a part-time job?
For what? I mean, he doesn't even fulfill all the duties of his job with what he's getting now. I mean, he's basically going to do more of the same thing. He's basically just going to. He thinks he's so awesome that he can get a 6-figure salary just to slack off and look awesome, and that's just not going to work. It's not going to benefit the city.
What about you, Dara? What do you think? What is your opinion?
No, I don't think the mayor should get that kind of a absorbent salary, because again, I'm reading from it says foster communications and cohesiveness. So
has yet to do
when your colleagues saying you need 3 to put something on the agenda, to me that's like contradiction in itself.
And to be cohesive, that would mean he actually has to sit down and listen to people and consider opposing views, even if he doesn't like them, and have people that, and at least use the opposing views for people to say, hey, wait a minute, and test ideas to make sure that they're good. I mean, if you're just in your own echo chamber, you're going to come up, you're liable to come up with some very odd ideas, to say the least.
Right now.
And so he's not doing anything that would help. What was that? He's not doing anything that would further
his agenda.
Communication between the city council with staff, with residents.
Right.
I mean.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what.
I wish we could get that cat from Alaska as a mayor.
Yeah.
Because at least with the cat, if it sat up there and had an attitude problem and stared at you like you hated you, at least it would have an excuse because it's a cat.
Yeah, they're Misty, like my cat Misty down there.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna show you what an idiot this guy is. We are a general law city,
mm-hmm.
So before you could, if he was smart,
mm-hmm.
he would have proposed to change the charter to a charter city.
Yeah.
Number one, that's your first go around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, we would track that and see where it's going. Then
mm-hmm.
you would propose, we're a charter city. We need to when you become a charter city, you don't necessarily have to have a city manager.
Yeah.
So you would get rid of the city manager and the assistant city manager and say, I want to be a full-time executive. Now, being a special ed teacher, does that justify him getting that salary? I don't think so, because I don't think he's the best of the crop as a strong executive. He doesn't have experience as a strong executive.
If he got that pay raise, he would be the 10th highest paid mayor in the state.
Right?
Well, he don't have to do it. I mean, according to, I'm reading to the government code. Let's see what government code. It's government code 3004-903. It says the mayor is a member of the city council and has all the powers and duties of a member of the city council. He's part of the city council.
Right.
So nothing has changed. He does. He's not the executive. He doesn't administer anything.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he presides over a meeting
and takes pictures.
Takes
mm-hmm.
pictures, look at application, etc., etc.
Right.
But it's no executive
power.
So why should a person or an entity or the office get that kind of money when they don't?
And even if there was executive powers, he is not qualified to be an executive mayor. Mm-hmm. He has no background and experience in making executive decisions and executive orders. And then you got to think about, if you fire Michelle Dawson and you fire the assistant city manager, they're leaving with a golden parachute, so we're going to be paying for them even after they're gone. So, what the hell? It's just, to me, it just wouldn't work out. So
I don't know. I think firing this city manager and the assistant city manager, yeah, they've got the golden parachute, but I think it would just be like ripping off a Band-Aid. It would just be better to hurry up and get it done with.
oh, absolutely, but not with this idiot mayor that we have. I think we need to get rid of this council and look into Brown Act violations by a lot of them. On social media, a lot of the Edoites are complaining that AB 890 by Jose Medina, which is proposed to close loopholes. Now, unfortunately, the WLC has passed. So that wouldn't be subjected to Mr. Medina's AB 890. So what are they bitching about?
Well, it might be something over the horizon that's,
Yeah.
it looks like something. Why would you even consider, because it's already passed, it's done, but something must be over the
Yeah,
horizon.
if he wants to make changes, then it would apply to changes.
I'm going to say this about the AB 890. All it is doing is closing the loophole that developers are using to do a comprehensive, thorough EIR review for people's health and safety. Who is against that? Who would be against that?
Nobody should be against
That's
that.
what I'm saying. If anything, they should be saying, yes, Jose Medina, we're going to go ahead and do that and make sure it passes, because when these developers circumvent CEQA, which is there to protect us, why would you be against? I don't understand why you would be against that.
From the way I understood it from Ito's presentation a couple of years ago, the World Logistics Center was supposed to be well above and beyond any environmental requirements. So why is this even an issue for them?
Right. And you bypassed it anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, because why else would you go after something like this that's already done, unless something is over the horizon,
Right.
it's coming up. So
Here's what I heard on social media, and of course I got in a debate with a bunch of people, and the first thing they do, oh, you're a racist. Now, whatever, you say what you got to say. Here's the thing. AB 890 has passed the Assembly. It is now in the Senate. So, notice that the Edoites always say, well, the people have spoken. So, I didn't vote for the WLC. Jimson voted and all these other people, so they represent us. So, now you hear him saying, well, Jose Medina doesn't represent me. The fuck he doesn't. Yes, he does represent you. He is your representative if you like him or not. So the people have spoken, and it's now in the Senate.
Yeah, Ito's paid cheerleaders have spoken. The 15,000 signatures he got, maybe 15,000 people that didn't really know what was going on and just signed the form just to get the stoners that he hired away from him.
Right. But
well, it's the same thing. Well, again, it's the hoodwink and bamboozle, I call it, because the fact that because I signed something doesn't mean I support it. Maybe I want to vote on it. But to say there's 50,000 people, well, 15% means 85% didn't have a chance to put their input.
The thing is that those people, what those people signed for was to see what the thing was, what was going to be on the ballot. They didn't sign for the city council to unilaterally pass whatever they want.
right. So the bottom line is, when these idiots say that Jose Medina doesn't represent them, yes, he does. It's the same as I don't like Victoria Baca, but she represents this district. Idiot Gutierrez, he's the mayor. He represents Moreno Valley. The people have spoken, and it's just funny how, in that scenario, they're like, oh yeah, the people have spoken. The WOC's passed. Why are you guys still arguing about it? It's passed. The people have spoken. Everybody's for it. But now Jose Medina is closing a loophole. He doesn't speak for us. Wait a minute, so what's the difference? What's the difference is my thing.
One suits their agenda and one doesn't.
Exactly. So, Daryl, you have something on AB 890. Give us a little background on it, what it's about, because a lot of people are hearing about it, but they don't know.
Well, here it goes. The California, the CEQA we've been talking about was the California Signature Environmental Protection Statute, and that helps identify feasibility and mitigate significant environmental impacts of land use developments. So what this whole thing goes down to is that, when a city council, let's say, receives a voter initiative petition meeting the election code requirements, it must do one of one of three things: is adopting an initiative without amendments, submit it to a special election order and abbreviated report an initiative. And so what happened, in this case, they went out there and went through the motions of getting signatures, say, hey, sign this, and you're going to have a chance to vote on it, and everybody, rah, rah, rah. Then all of a sudden, oh, no, you won't get to vote on it, because the ordinary people that's working every day don't have time to go through election codes and understand that there's a possibility that you won't vote on it. Instead, they could adopt it, and the game is over.
Right, the council can adopt it and say do what they want.
But you don't have to it's not required to have an ERR with it.
Right.
Which, that's how they could get by. Because you could adopt it without ERR. So even though you had one in the beginning, then all of a sudden, you're not required to have one. Right. So you won't know what the impacts are. And like I said, ordinary citizen is not going to know what's happening.
Right.
So that's part of what's going on. I mean, as far as it required this initiative to have a ERR to it, so people know what the impacts is on the environment, and also it requires an elected official to notify the proponents of the results of the environmental review. So to me, and also here's something that's interesting: it requires the governing board, which is the city council, whoever, to hold a public hearing once the ER is completed. And so you have a public hearing again, and people say, oh, you're slowing the process down, you can't have jobs. And say, no, you don't. Why do you have to go to a ballot to approve a project? You could go through if your project is good, people are going to vote on it.
Right.
But you don't necessarily have to put an initiative to pass your project.
Okay, like I've said before, if this project is so great, why aren't there other private investors looking to jump on it? Why are there no major companies looking to buy or lease land from it? Why do we need to foot the bill for all the infrastructure? If it's so great, why isn't there other companies that are looking to help out and hurry up and get it done? And under that same train of thought, if you listen to Ito, his presentation made it sound like the warehouse and all the trucks are only going to emit unicorn farts. So why is the environmental studies, any environmental studies, whether it's the EIR or any lawsuit or any of that, why can't the World Logistics Center defeat all those, no problem? That should be way above and beyond any requirements to cross every T and dot every I in the law.
Right, and that's a perfect point. If this thing is so environmentally green and it's so super, it's just the greatest thing ever, why are you circumventing CEQA? You should be able to pass with no problems, and hey, this is what's going on and this is what's happening. And but notice that the only people that really chirp in and chime in are people that are getting paychecks from Highland Fairview. Now, I've said this, and this is why I don't believe it's ever going to happen. We have trucks and empty warehouses all over the city right now. I don't see one entrepreneur even building a truck stop or infrastructure that's going to support it. People say, you got certain people who are suspect. Oh, well, Ito can't do anything because he's in litigation right now, so he can't build anything. Support infrastructure for his project has nothing to do with his litigation. So he can build a truck stop.
He can't build a motel with truck parking.
Right, exactly.
He can't put a diesel gas pump somewhere.
Right. He can do that. That had nothing to do with it. And that would show me...
He can't open a McDonald's franchise.
Right. That would show me that, yes, he's going to build this. But if you can't build something 25... Why do you think that this thing is 25 years down the road? Because most of you Itoites aren't going to be here to deal with it. I'm going to be here. Daryl might be here.
He's going to be what, 75 by the time this thing's in operation?
I think he'll be in his 80s. And it's not going to be an operation. It's land speculation. Because he'd be building the infrastructure now. It's like, that's kind of like building an aircraft carrier. You're going to build the top of it, put the aircrafts on it, but you didn't build the bottom. The aircraft carrier is going to be stuck in dock. You've got to build the infrastructure first. even if it is in good faith, because we need a truck stop now. So why hasn't Ito, being the businessman that he is, or some of the Itoites who are getting all that Ito money, investing in a truck stop? They'll be 25 years ahead of the whole program because it's going to come.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the infrastructure.
No infrastructure, it's not happening.
Well, you got to lay the infrastructure. You can forget about let the lawsuit take its course.
Right.
Develop the infrastructure and rock and roll with something.
Right, because you're still going to make money with the trucks that are running around here.
Exactly.
Then, let's talk about this. Skechers, phase 2 and 3. While you're waiting for these lawsuits, Ito, you can finish phase 2 and 3 Skechers.
Whatever happened to the liens against it from the shoddy construction he did and the bills he did
And
pay?
the Donald Trump tactics of not paying the workers and things like that. And
I don't know about I don't know about the Donald Trump tactics, but just there were liens,
put on
there unpaid bills, there were shoddy construction, there were issues with that project, and so I don't even. Can he even go forward until all that's taken care of? And is it taken care of?
That's a good question. MB Gordy might have some answers to that. But
I don't know. Maybe some of the Highlands Fairview supporters can provide some documents on that.
Right. And and it's always, again, if you look at the blogs and stuff, how they quickly go to this idiot mayor's defense, saying, "Oh well, it isn't 700%. It's actually only 260." For a part-time job at 260% raise, that's going to give them $135,000. I mean, these people. I mean, that shows you the lunacy in why Moreno Valley is looked on the way it's looked on. I mean,
well, you speak of that. Look at the past people we had on city council or mayor. They never ask for any money.
Don't get me started. But
well, yeah, I mean, you should. I mean, because it's even if people you disagree with, they didn't go around and say, "I need."
They knew what the job entailed.
Yeah. So if you didn't know, you shouldn't have ran.
Right.
You should just stay where you were.
Well, no. That had nothing to do with it. Who told you dumbass, to quit your job or be put on administrative leave? Who told you to do that?
You should never do that.
You mean like involuntary administrative?
Yeah,
leave?
involuntary administrative leave. Maybe if you would just concentrate on your job. Remember, you're a part-time mayor. We have a city manager. You are just a figurehead. The city council is not the power in the city. It is the city staff. That's who you deal with. When I go to City Hall, I don't need to deal with Victoria Bach or anybody else like that. I can talk to Michelle Dawson or Tom DeSantis and say, "Hey, this is my problem. So what are you going to do about it?" And they give me an answer.
Well, that's the whole purpose of having a city manager that's on there full time and making sure the training
Strong
is on
executive,
time.
right?
Yeah, and you have a council to make the votes and do whatever else, the PR stuff.
Yeah, but the problem with our city staff is they are so afraid of losing those six-figure jobs living in Orange County and commuting here. It's funny how it's okay for them to commute to make that good money, but they don't want us to commute. They want us to take these low-paying jobs in warehouses to get that. But they're so afraid of losing their jobs and being fired that they don't want to push back against the mayor or against the council for what's right. Saying, hey, what the hell are you doing, dude? Because if I was the city executive, Michelle Dawson, I'd be putting that dumbass in his place. Saying, no, you can't do it. Sit your ass down. You don't even... Ladies and gentlemen, this is what's going on. Okay, this is the law, this is what happens, this is what we've done. This idiot here hasn't done anything. That's what I would be doing. No, not Sean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get my point. So, but speaking of things that are coming up, he wants a raise. There has been rumors in the city once again, as everybody's rumbling, because the minute that this guy announced this in the press enterprise, the first thing that comes out of the anti's mouth is recall, recall, recall. Why the hell would you want to recall somebody who's going to be going through an election in less than a year?
I don't know. Seems like it would be a lot of work. I don't know how
It would be a lot of work and it'd be a waste of time because him and Cabrera's are going to be coming up on election anyway. And if you don't get out and educate the people to vote, they're going to be reelected.
There you go.
So it would be easier to let them go and don't waste your resources on recalling those two.
Yeah, you might as well just put them on the same ticket and let them share the same seat.
Right, exactly. So to me, if you're going to recall, we need to recall Victoria Baca because she has another 2 years or 3 years going, whatever the deal is. And she's been recalled once. She's very unpopular. That would be the person that I would recall with my expertise because you have time to do it.
When was the last time Baca was seen helping this district anyways?
This district looks like crap and it's been looking like crap ever since she took office. And I'm not the only one that has said it, and I've got people that I'm against even say it. So, what Moreno Valley needs to do is start thinking strategically. The main thing we need to do is, since we have a stronger mayor, is get the mayor seat. So by getting that mayor seat, you need a candidate that we can get behind consensus as a consensus candidate. Recall Baca, that would help because then it would break the 3-0 club. But then you have Gaiba's seat coming up, and I don't know if Gaiba's going to run for re-election or not. I doubt it. But if we got to start thinking on stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard that there's a number of people that all want to run for District 2, and they really need to sit down and have a long talk and figure out who they're going to put up to run, or it's going to go to a Highland Fairview candidate.
Well, once again, Highland Fairview is going to throw a bunch of people in there to split the vote like they always do. But if we can stick together on and get behind a consensus candidate, you can beat Highland Fairview's candidate. We need one strong candidate. And again, District 1, if we're talking about somebody to replace Victoria Baca in a recall, I'm for Jerry Mercado. Why? One, because he has ran before. He's been in the fire. He's Hispanic. Can speak Spanish. He's young and he's progressive. That's my vote for District 1. Now for mayor, that's wide open. I couldn't even tell you, but I'll tell you one person that you should not vote for. Denise Fleming. Now, Denise Fleming, and I'm going to be honest, on paper, she is spot on qualified. But just talk to her and she'll ruin it. Just talking to her, her mouth, she'll ruin it. And her attitude, she'll ruin it. And then a lot of people think, oh, Denise Fleming would make a good mayor. No, she wouldn't. Because Denise Fleming is for Denise Fleming. She isn't for the community. And I always ask people that. Well, golly. And it's not about me, but I've only been involved in the local politics for about 5 years. And in 5 years, I got roads done. I got Adrian Mitchell Park done. I did crosswalks. I put on debates, and I contribute to the community in less than 5 years. Please tell me one thing Denise Fleming has done for Moreno Valley. The African American Coalition Family Picnic, which is getting smaller and smaller every year, which is her personal cheering squad. That's what she's done for the community. We're talking about for the community, not just the black folks, the community. Nothing. So how can anybody even say she's a viable candidate? I don't.
Well, but if the only thing she's done for the community is for the black people, then how is that for the community as a whole?
That's my point. That's my point. And you can never win mayor if you're only focusing on one group.
It's about building bridges to everybody. It's about lifting everybody up, not just focusing on one particular group. You got to focus on everybody. What problems I face, you face, Sean may face in a different part of the community. It should be us together, not just one.
Right, and and like I said, you talk to her. I think she blows it when she opens her mouth because you talk to anybody that has any sense that isn't. I mean, when people talk about it, they talk about her like she's some kind of messiah or something. And it's like, and then you tell them, well, what has she done? I don't know. But she's getting an award at such and such for what? Losing elections?
I don't know. I could make up some organization, give her an award too.
Yeah, I just don't get it. And I'll give you an example. We had a debate in District 4. Our debate was put out on Facebook. We just announced it. And 2 days before our debate took place, we're having one of our things. Everybody's got to come to the African American Coalition, and we're going to be doing it, and you got to come to ours. 20 people showed up to her debate. And I'm not saying that to be mean. That's actually how many people showed up. Now, and I'm counting 20 to include myself because I covered it. You take away the two candidates' families, there was 13 people that actually showed up. And it was at a school. And I was the main one saying, well, what the hell is that? Why would you put your debate 2 days before my debate, and my debate was already announced? Because Denise Fleming is all about all eyes on her. She wants the lights on her. So what I'm saying is, she is a bad candidate because she has no ideas. She's been in this town for I don't know how many years and has accomplished nothing.
She's like a black female Gutierrez.
Right. She's accomplished zero. So why does every time mayor, I think she'd make a good mayor. This is not high school politics here. We need progressive candidates that are going to sit up there and fight Highland Fairview. I don't care what you got to do. Okay.
I don't know about progressive, but
Well, when I mean progressive on a local level, progressive meaning you're for the community, build us a damn community center, look out for the people, progressive for the people.
Politics local.
Yeah,
Yeah.
politics local, not national progressive, whatever that crap is. We're talking about being progressive, being saying, okay, we need our roads fixed. We the people. This is what the people need.
All right.
Name me one thing in this city that's been built for us.
Can't think of anything.
All this money being slung around in the last 6 years, nothing has been built. We are the second biggest city in Riverside County, and we don't even have a civic center.
Well, it's the same thing. You remember what you were saying, like mental health issues, those kind of
Well,
things.
yes.
Well, that's what I'm talking. The progressive type of thing is talking about people's needs.
People's needs.
What's
Right.
ailing the community.
Mhm.
Just like that's the kind of need you
Right.
need to look into a mayor.
Right.
Now you only look at the big picture item. You got to look at also the regular folks out there.
Right, exactly.
That-
Why is everything being catered to this developer?
Well, you have to, like you said, we have to build something. We haven't built something for us in the community for.
Right.
I don't
yeah,
know.
we've got that bridge that was supposed to be a library.
To go help build that one?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really good.
And we've got the failing mall. We've got a bunch of failing strip malls. We need a community center. We need things like I think having a year-round indoor public pool would be
Oh, that
awesome.
would be
That'd be
nice.
awesome. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
And,
We're
that's-
living
and that's
in the
not
desert.
that's not exactly rocket science. And
Right.
I mean, there's even ways you can build a temporary cover over it in the winter months.
Absolutely.
That would be nice to have.
That's what
a
I'm saying.
Public pool.
There's things, I don't know, maybe like some sort of roller hockey or
Right. A roller skating rink. Outside roller skating rink. I mean, build something for the people. I'm tired of seeing these young people all summer long, nothing to do.
Just hang out in the
They're
street.
just hanging out in the streets. They go to the mall and they're just running around with no money in their pocket, no job opportunities. They're just walking around.
yeah, something other to do than I mean. Call of Duty is great, but it's not something I'd want to do all summer. I mean,
All summer long.
believe me, I've tried doing video games all summer once upon a time, and
Right.
it really was. Looking back, it really didn't accomplish anything.
Right. It didn't accomplish anything. And that's what I'm saying. So when people bring up people like Denise Fleming, they say, well, what about LaDonna Jensen? No, me and LaDonna, we are not good candidates. We've been bounced out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So no, we're not. We need new people, new leadership with new ideas. But we definitely need somebody who's not going to go up there and be like, well, I'm going to get up there to get along and do what I got to do. Nothing against Dave Marquez, nothing against Jeffrey Gaiba. I think, in my opinion, Gaiba's reaping what he sowed, because when you make a deal with the devil, you're going to get screwed over eventually in the end.
Yeah, he's going to collect.
Yeah. I mean, and you can see he's burnt out and he's pissed off. And how do you repay $250,000? By voting for the WLC. So he feels he did his part. But in regards to Dave, good friend of mine and stuff like that, and I know he's being outvoted. But the point is, you can still do political things if you know how to play politics and play the game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, how did Victoria Baca become vice mayor? I don't know. But there was obviously, looking at it from the way I look at it, there was a deal done,
Mhm.
which took a vote of either Gaiba or Marquez to get her over. I don't know which one, but why would you even do that? Why would you even do that?
I don't know.
And Baca is the one that runs the Highland Fairview agenda. Why aren't they saying anything about this? Why aren't they coming out to the press and saying, look, this is some bull?
I don't know. Well, they're certainly not ever going to make friends with Gutierrez or Baca, and
Child
unless
Cabarrus.
unless they like totally cave, which I don't see them being able to at this point being able to totally cave to enough to appease them. So why not play the long-term strategy and just shine a spotlight on their crap?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. You're going to be outvoted. I'm not saying don't show up to do your job. Show up to city council, take roll call, get up and leave.
Mhm.
'Cause what would be the point? You're just going to sit there looking like a dummy? Why vote on anything? Because that would shine light and saying, these are the people that are running an agenda. We can't get anything done. They weren't even invited. Well, I heard Gaiba had an appointment, but they weren't even mentioned at the State of the City.
Well, again, look at the actions again of having 3 to put something on the agenda. I mean, you're
And-
just excluding the minority.
Right.
And what's up with the state of the city function requiring $40 to get into? I mean, that's
Well,
That's
last
a-
year it was 35.
Well, why
it's a public event addressing public issues, and in a city-owned building. It's supposed to be an open public record. Why does it cost $40 to get into?
Because we don't want you peasants rubbing noses with our donors that are going to contribute to our thing. Because that guy Verragosa, people don't remember, the mayor of LA, Verragosa, there was an article in the Press Enterprise years ago, and that had to do with code enforcement. He had property out on the East End that was like run down and stuff, and he had been cited several times. And this clown is at the state of the city acting like, okay, well, I'm going to be the governor, and they're all snoozing up to him, and Baca got on her knees and spreaded her butt cheeks, and she was ready to just
I don't
to take
need that
it.
visual.
Okay, well, she was ready to take it with no Vaseline, because from what I hear, Victoria Baca is his Inland Empire campaign manager. She's got time to be his Inland Empire campaign manager when she has work to do in District 1.
Did he ever do any background research on her?
I don't think they care. I don't think they care. La familia! La familia, my brother. That's what it's about. But see, people don't do their research on these people. She has time to be this guy's campaign manager, and District 1 looks like shit.
Well, again, it's the $40 thing, elitist thing. I mean, I go like you were saying, 40. It should be free, because when you have an image, when you set your people up and say, you know what, you're not invited unless you pay $40. So why? This is my house. I paid for
Right.
it.
Why didn't Gaiba or
Yeah.
Marquez make a big deal about that?
Well, yeah, because it's part of your house. It's your house.
Mhm.
It's
I pay
everybody
for
in
it.
this community's
Right.
house,
And we can't attend.
Yeah, we got to pay $40 for what? I mean, it used to be a long time ago. The mayor would just sit up in the council chambers, give his state of the state, and that would be
That's
it.
Mhm.
You wouldn't go out there and have this grandiose show and tell.
Because Moreno Valley is for sale.
Well,
Moreno
yeah.
Valley is for sale.
Well, the thing is too, when you say all these jobs, here we go again, all these jobs
What
here.
jobs?
Well, that's why poverty is up. That's
What
why
jobs?
that's why poverty is up. That's why you got check cash places
Right.
everywhere.
Right.
And that's why you got payday loan places
Right.
everywhere.
Right.
Last
Rental
I
home.
heard, the
Misty.
best announcement they could make about jobs is a lot of low-end restaurants.
Yeah, and I'm getting tired. If we have one more Mexican restaurant in this town, I'm going to go insane.
Well, that's-
Oversaturation.
Well, that's the point, though. Again, we're not talking today. It's a gloss over PR thing that misses the issue that of people that got real problems like mental health, substance
Okay.
abuse, streets is in disarray.
Well, I want to know why there isn't one black councilman up there. Not that it's a race thing, but if we're going to talk about equality, the majority of there's no well, Gaiba's white, right? Gaiba's,
Yeah,
he's white.
I think he's ethnically Hungarian.
Yeah, Hungarian. Yeah, so he's real white.
Yeah.
He's real white. But
Well, unless
nice
he gets
man.
pissed off, then
Yeah, then he turns into a red pumpkin.
yeah, then his head's so red it's like almost like
Yeah.
all hail Hydra.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, it seems that these 3 people are catering to a demographic that doesn't include the other groups.
Well, I don't know. If there's a black candidate that I agree with, I mean, yeah, I'll vote for him.
What do you think about Shaylinda Bernard running in District 4 against Child Cabarrus? I think she could win
I
this
think,
time.
yeah, her views aren't totally in line with mine, but I think she could do the job.
Okay. A lot of people ask me this when it comes to Denny! Everybody that went to the red, black, and green ball know and understand why it is a personal thing between me and Denise. Now, I have been asked several times, could you please just go a little nice on her, and could you just please just try to work with her? Absolutely not. A leader who thinks they are infallible and cannot apologize when they are wrong is the wrong leader for Moreno Valley. Period.
Yeah.
And until I get an apology, and Denise knows what I'm talking about, I'm going to expose you at every angle. The only thing you can run for, you're going to have to leave the Inland Empire for me to get off of you, because I'm going to run you out of this town politically, and I'm going to expose you for the fraud that you are. It's as simple as that. As the unethical person that you are, and I've proven over and over again. And yes, it's personal. Next.
No, I was saying that too when you was listening to what you were saying, but again, about leadership, it's not about spotlight being on yourself, it's about spotlighting the people.
Right.
That's what it's about. It's like the same thing about the mayor. He should have said, it's my fault. Instead of saying, oh, it's that person's fault, it says, it was my idea, and I want to apologize. I whatever he had to do to make it right with people.
You'll never hear that from this guy.
Well, that's the problem. That's why there's no leadership, because you don't see someone saying, it's my fault. I don't pass the buck. It's my responsibility.
Right, and for him to say that he and the people of Moreno Valley are against AB 890 is total bullshit.
No,
that is
yes,
total bullshit.
exactly. I mean,
he does not. No, we are not against AB 890. That is to help us and to make sure that these developers do a thorough EIR before they do their projects. That's all it's going to do. So why would you be fighting something like that?
Well, it's the same thing in other cities, because there's other people who don't have the money, don't have the influence, don't get white envelopes, and that can't fight a corporation.
Right.
And something like that could go right down their throat and say, you know what? We're going to fool these people. We're going to say, you can get the vote on it because they're so naive and dumb, and we're going to pull the rug underneath you and pass it anyway, and have you, and like I said, bamboozle and hoodwink.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
Exactly.
What is going to happen if this thing ever, like I said, I don't believe the WLC is ever going to be built. And I'm going to be here, and I'm going to have these videos to prove that I've been in the fight in the WLC wars. I'm going to say this. Once the litigation of all this stuff is done, no matter which way it goes, nobody's talking about white flight that is happening in this city. People, you're not going to attract millionaires to this city. We have warehouses everywhere. If everybody that can get out is moving. And nobody's talking about that, because nobody's
That's not
going
a racist thing. That actually happened in Detroit. There was when Detroit was mismanaged for 40 years,
by
and
Democrats.
same policies over and over again, even though they didn't work. The city started falling into disrepair. The neighborhoods weren't so nice. Crime was going up, and then wasn't there like a riot or two or something? And then eventually, people that had money decided they didn't want to live here. They wanted to get out while they could. So. People started getting out, and the more urgent it became like, get out of here before you can like salvage something of your house value. And eventually, some people that weren't fast enough did lose everything, and a lot of those neighborhoods look worse than Chernobyl now.
Right, and right now you can get a nice house up in Detroit for sometimes $300, $200, because they're just trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, they've actually had to. There are actually some neighborhoods where they had to shut off utilities and stuff. And because no one's using those areas, and they've had to bulldoze some neighborhoods just to keep criminals and bums and drug use out. Right,
and that's what's going to happen here. And if you don't believe me, nobody wants to buy a $500,000, $400,000 house next to a warehouse or streets that have trucks running up and down its level. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the second hour. But Sean has some national stuff that he wants to go over. I'm very sure we're going to get into that. And Daryl, of course, is going to talk to us about what he's been getting into, and as we're moving forward. And, of course, we're going to talk about that animal shelter as my cat Misty is laying on her back. I don't know if she's dead or not, but she's getting there. And
Bell's at my feet.
Yeah, something. And Bell's at the feet, and Bell's underneath. And we're going to talk about that because they had cleared the shelter in Riverside, I believe, last weekend. And I believe Moreno Valley took part in it. I'm not sure, but I'm going to verify that. And we're going to talk about also Aja Smith. She's still running and doing what she's got to do. And Mark Chicano is having a town hall meeting in Paris on the 29th, I believe. And we're going to talk about
to tell everyone the Democratic Party's ideas?
Yes, the LGBT agenda and like that. And we're going to talk about that in the next hour. So you guys just stay by, and we'll be right back.
$100,000 for the Republican Party to take her fundraising ability seriously.
Okay. Oh yeah, that is.
Okay, but why does she need to raise $100,000? Why can't they just give it to her?
I don't know. I don't think they can afford to give to every single candidate that can't raise money for themselves. Unfortunately, I think Aja would do an amazing job, but Right now, she doesn't have a track record with. She doesn't have a track record in politics yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Republican Party likes her, but they're concerned about her ability to raise campaign money.
Yeah, it's always about money.
But okay, well, let me ask you this: what happens hypothetically if she doesn't raise any Okay, she raised minimum campaign money. All right, minimum, big deal. And in that minimalist, everybody votes for her, and she wins. What would be the difference?
I don't see how that would be. I mean, if she can bring in the votes, I hope that's what matters. And she's been quite candid about the fundraising, which I'm not exactly amused by. Not Aja, but the whole fundraising thing. I don't know. I don't have any good answers for that one.
Do you think that the Trump backlash could carry her? She could ride his coattails, maybe, or maybe she should stay away from that aspect.
I think she should run on her own merits.
Yeah.
Mm.
She's not lockstep in line with Trump. I mean, she knows that there's some issues in Reno Valley that require a social safety net, and she's not going to fit in lockstep with Trump.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I would say that because at the local level, congressional level, it's always going to be about the local issues instead of the national, and because her best asset is the issues in this community and throughout the district that needs to be addressed. And
well, it's a big district. Remember, she's got all of Riverside.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
Because
thought you only had part of Riverside.
Well, part of it. I mean, it's a big.
A lot of Paris, a lot of Hemet, and Palm
right,
Springs.
right.
so you talking about Paris, where you got a lot of people. Poverty is like what 25-30% maybe close to.
Right.
So we are looking at someone that could address that issues. And I mean, because when you look at congressional candidates, some people thinking about the big picture, but when you talking about your pocketbook or your purse or whatever in your job in your community, you're looking for someone that's going to be able to address that and bring home whatever resources you can to help out the needs in this community.
Okay.
Because you got a veteran population, that's a big one.
She's very well educated. She's in the Air Force Reserve. I think she's going to be retiring fairly soon. Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. She is very sympathetic to the homeless issue for personal reasons. Her dad died homeless, and it took a while for wherever he died to notify her because they had trouble finding next of kin.
Yeah, his kin.
So she really understands the homeless issue. She really understands the need to keep the existing government medical and Social Security programs in place. That she's not lockstep with everything that the Republican Party wants to do. She's not out to like wipe away all public health care and privatize everything. She's got her finger on the pulse of what's going on locally.
Right. Now, here's my thing. Now, she's a African American woman. I say black. I don't know why I keep saying that. She's a black woman, military veteran. That's all good and great. Now, predominantly, black people are Democrats. The majority of blacks identify as Democrats. But a lot of us that have some sense are either independent like myself or Republican. Because of that, her being a Republican, identifying as a Republican, do you think that's going to be a handicap, Daryl, for her getting those extra votes that she would have normally gotten if she had ran as a Democrat?
Well, yeah, traditionally with being a Republican, you have a disadvantage, but you shouldn't. I'm a Democrat personally. I'm a Democrat. But when I look to who I support, I look at the best candidate. Because I'm looking, like, again, the issues locally that affects me. And I'm also looking at the national issues, too, when it comes to national defense and foreign policy. I look at that, too, because that's part of what I look for, someone who's going to keep this country strong and keep this country safe, make sure our military folks have the resources and the vets have the medical care and everything they need so they can continue to keep progressing forward. And that's what I look for. But for some people, it's either a D or R.
Right.
Instead of looking at what can this person do. Because I know Aja. Aja's a good person. She's smart.
Mm-hmm.
She has the pulse of the community. You know, and she'll do a good job. But some people like, well, I'm not going to vote for her because she's
a Republican. Yeah.
Oh, no. And I'm like, well, have you ever talked to her? Oh, no.
Yeah.
And you already preconceived that she's no good for you.
Right, because she's a Republican.
Yeah, and she's already endured various slurs against her being a black Republican.
Yeah, being a black Republican.
But I mean, it's
sell
like,
out.
I mean, if she was to become a Democrat and
Democrat.
yeah, and basically pull the same party line as Takano, I mean, how would she not be selling out if she did the same thing that's not working for our city?
Right, and whatever.
And surrounding regions too, because she's a Republican and she's on the running the Republican platform, because what we've got going on now with Mark Takano is not working.
I have to agree with you. Like I said, everybody knows I worked on his campaign when he first was elected. He has done a lot for the LGBT community, and I applaud that. That's good and great. But there are more constituents that aren't LGBT, and he doesn't take a stance on. It doesn't seem to me he basically takes a stance of what the Democratic Party tells him to take a stance on, which is the problem with a lot of politicians. They go to Washington and they forget that they represent their constituents, not the Democratic Party.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a big thing. When they go up there, they become a national person instead of forgetting that you live in the community. But I don't know if he still lives in the community or he lives in D.C. and here. Yeah. But the thing is, what we face every single day is the kind of that's what I'm saying. I should understand because she lives here,
right?
And I think if she goes to Washington, she still knows what's happening in here, and I think she won't ever lose that. Now that's the thing about politics, because you have R&D, and that's well, we supposed to butt heads. Who said you have to butt heads?
Yeah, who says that?
Because that's the problem in this country, because we don't work together on anything.
Well, my biggest concern for her is, okay, she is a Republican, she's a black female, and the problem is a lot of people are going to discount her just based on that. Like you said, go talk to her. Go to her webpage. You're going to see it up here in the background there. And I'm telling you, you're going to be very shocked. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, and I've been saying this from the get-go. These parties are the same, the ruling party. So to me, I wouldn't even be concerned if she's a Republican. Does she represent your values? And that's what you should look for in a candidate. And if she could do well, to me, you can't do any worse other than re-elect Mark Takano.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the problem with Takano really only caring about the LGBTQ, RSTU, VWXYZ,
right.
Community is that basically his only concern about is where people like to stick it when they're in the bedroom, and for most people, that's not their big concern. They've got bills. They've got
bills. I got jobs.
Their kids aren't doing well in school. I
got health issues.
Yeah, they're unemployed. They're underemployed. They've got bums leaving a mess when they put their trash out in the morning.
Taking a dump on the sidewalk. I mean, I've seen that now.
Yeah, maybe they go over into the commercial parts of the city to go shopping, and everything smells like piss from the bums. Right. You've got violent crime on the rise. I mean, these are things that Takano and his gay agenda thing is completely oblivious to, apparently.
And and what kills me about that is you have all kinds of people that are gay in all demographics of culture. Black, white, Asian, I've met them all. So I think Mark Takano is a nice man and everything like that as a man, but again, I don't think he's done enough to represent us. And he's having a town hall meeting, I believe, on the 29th. Check our page, The Hot Seat, on Facebook. I put the thing up. If you can attend, please attend. It's going to be in Paris at the Civic Center there. Paris has a Civic Center.
And we don't.
Wow. But he's going to be attending there, and he's going to answer a lot of your questions. And isn't it funny, when it's election time, these politicians seem to spend more time in their districts and, hey, how you doing, buddy? What can I do? This is what I've been doing in Washington. Well, why didn't you do that? And Mark Takano does come on an average basis, but now it seems that he's highlighting a lot of stuff that he's doing now when it's so close to election time.
Well, that's the problem. Again, you should be doing this all the time when you can.
Right.
And again, you got areas in this district, like in Paris and these other places, like Me Valley, in the district that there's a lot of, you go into those areas look like Beirut or something. I mean, because they're people, the streets, or some of the streets are not paved, but also because it's in incorporated areas, so you have the county doing their part, but also that's the part, you don't have that partnership that can help people. I mean, empower them. Not just give a handout, but empower them and saying, okay, you have this problem with poverty and you need training. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help bring some grant resources so we can make it happen. And that's not just giving you a blank paycheck, but you got to have results. You got to have performance measurements. You got to have a lot of these things before some accountability. We just ain't gonna throw a blank check and you're just gonna spend it on administration and and the people don't get anything to. Economic mobility.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. These guys are more like PR people. That's why I say when you talk about local elections are important because they affect us directly. Because I would like to see him coming over to the lady with the hole in the roof and say, hey, and then she'd probably be shocked and say, what are you doing over here?
And that's not
you know?
Yeah, and quite frankly, with the homeless, I think we need a homeless shelter. Not just to house the homeless, but to get a place to go sit down and talk to a lot of them to figure out how they ended up on the streets in the first place.
Well, I got a question for you. We have all these warehouses here. Now, I've been in the military, and I'm going to tell you this. Over at the base, you have something similar to this warehouse. It's called a mobility center. And in that mobility center, they process Marines and make sure that they have their dog tags, their will is done, you know, all these little things that they need to do, and they go through this processing station. And while they're waiting to ship out, you know, they've got they section it off with little roomers and things like that, and they, you know, guys are sleeping on the, you know, whatever, and they've got their little cots and stuff over there, whatever it is. Why can't, with all these empty warehouses, why can't the city take city money, because we are supposedly in the black.
Yeah.
I think it was $37 million. Why can't we lease one of these buildings or buy one of these buildings outright and do a homeless shelter?
Yeah, if we had a barracks, I mean, that would be a place where we could move county mental health services into.
Absolutely.
Get medications there.
Right.
We get substance abuse counseling.
Like a processing center. You know, we can't make them stay, but if they want to come, there will be some
and you could even do a triage for other medical issues, like if they've got like dental infections or something else going on.
And instead of giving power 20% off power breaks, we can do the Daryl Terrell thing and do, like, if these dentists want to come in and do that, you give them incentive to help the homeless and donate some of their time.
And then we'll, since some of them have like pretty severe thought disorders or developmental disorders, at least if you have gotten some meds and some counseling and stuff, then you might be able to like eventually figure out why these people are ending up on the streets in the first place.
Well, the same thing about, that's another thing about having a federal elected official that could bring some money, resources to help that, to facilitate it so we can get those folks. And so they could transition, if they could transition into, get them back on their feet again and back into the community. But that's what the federal, state, all working together to make this thing happen.
Now, with that idea, this goes back to, once again, our friend Aja Smith. She's a Republican, and I think it's a damn shame that you have a lot of black people out here that will not support her simply because she's a Republican. But these are issues she cares about. I don't see Mark Takano doing it.
I don't know. I never understood why the black community keeps voting for Democrats in the first place. I mean,
Democrats.
They show up and make these grand promises, and then disappear after the election,
and then they come back
2 years or 4 years or however long they're. Come election time, they're back, and this has been going on for like the last 50 years.
And then every now and then, the Democrat will come back and say, "Oh yeah, here we can keep you on welfare a little bit longer," and we just celebrate in the streets. All right, I got an extension on on my Section 8. All right.
Should be more empowerment.
Didn't they? Nobody's figured out that basically
It hasn't worked.
they're selling out their lives for that Section 8. I mean, you've given them Section 8 food stamps, access to cheap alcohol and
Right.
weed. I mean, they're keeping themselves down.
Exactly.
But,
And-
yeah, we don't have no path out of poverty.
Poverty.
We don't have no economic mobility.
And then they just vote for these candidates that'll
Right.
throw them that little check every once in
But
a
I'm
while.
going to have to
again.
disagree with you on that, Daryl,
Okay.
because you have these warehouses that aren't at full employment capacity, and yet people will still sit and receive a check rather than go to work.
Well, that's where I do agree with you. Now don't say, because I'm like, people need to work. If they're eligible to work, they should work. If they don't have any mental,
Right.
they should be able to work. When I worked at Target, I seen people that were grown folks that were using, I hate to say it, use those food stamp
Right.
cards.
Mhm.
And I'm saying, hey, I work in 2 jobs,
Right.
and this guy.
You're a fool.
Yeah, and he's
You're a fool.
Yeah, and I'm paying,
Yeah.
and I'm paying
You're
for
the
him,
fool.
and you paying
Right.
for him.
You're the
But
fool.
then you got a guy outside of a Target having a sign to
Sign.
say, "Hey," I said, "We got a job in here. You want to come in?" "Oh, I don't want to work." I said,
Right.
"Well, you're gonna starve then, because
Right.
I'm not." See, that's the problem. People need to have accountability and responsibility. If they're able to work, they should want to work. But if somebody give you free money, you ain't gonna want to work.
True.
People need to work
But
if they can.
right, but this also goes back to why I think she is a great candidate. It has nothing to do with her political affiliation. It has to do with, does she understand the issues, and is she going to address those issues in our community? And that's the candidate we need to stop. I'm not going to vote for her because she's a Republican. That has nothing to. She's a human being. Is Mark Takano meeting your needs? I don't think so. I don't
See,
think so.
the person that we should is the person that's going to empower people.
Exactly.
Give them the tools, and say, hey, we're going to help you, but it's going to be your responsibility to make that run. We're going to be there to help you, but you got to make the effort. We just can't sit there and say, just stay there poor, be there for the rest of your life. No.
Right.
That has to change. You have to empower people to get them the tools they need so they can make that path to the American dream, because if all they see their whole life is poverty and dependency, crime, they don't want to do nothing. That's all they see around them. Shootings and gangs and all kinds of stuff that deteriorating the community, and they seeing again check cashing places and pay loans.
Right. I'm going to tell you this. We did the math. We did the calculations. $27 donation. AjaForCongress.com. It's all she's going to ask for you. She doesn't need. If you want to give her 100, that's great. But she's saying the average person, $27. If everybody could give her $27, she could defeat Mark Takano.
Mm-hmm.
She can defeat him. She will have enough to do what she needs to do.
Yeah, I
and that's what we're
contributed
asking
to her, and
yeah,
I gave her 30, and she was glad to have it. It's not
Exactly.
like she's gonna try and coerce more money out of you.
Right, exactly. And I'm going to be putting a little bit more into the pot there as well. And I supported Mark Takano. I did. But when you see the writing on the wall, and it's not working for me, and it doesn't meet my direction, I want to change direction.
Yeah, he's on. Let's see, wasn't he elected in 2008?
2012.
Oh, 2012. So he's had 2 terms now, and he's basically doing the same thing he did when he started. And so, what's he likely to do in the future? What he's already doing and what he's already been doing.
Right, and don't get me wrong, I've seen him on CNN. I've seen him on MSNBC. Mm-hmm. He looks great on camera. Mm-hmm. Looks great. I covered him when he had the town hall last time he was here. Nice guy, but unfortunately, he's not getting the job done.
Yeah, and unfortunately, also, the more cable news you watch, the less you know what's going on.
There you go. Absolutely. But speaking of cable news, President Trump made a statement, and he had a big rally in Phoenix, and he's throwing red meat to the base, and you're part of the base.